What's going on, family? Listen, we've had a lot of amazing guests on the show, and perhaps you may have never, ever listened to those episodes. So we wanted to present a new segment called SONW Classic, where we go back, we revisit those iconic conversations, and give those full episodes back to you. Sit back and enjoy this week's SONW Classic. We have none other than the founder of The Source Magazine, The Source Awards, now running things at Hip Hop Weekly. The one and only Dave Mays is on a podcast. Take us back to the young Dave, right? Where are you from?
I graduated from high school, in D.C., Wilson Public High School, and then went to Harvard for undergrad. I wasn't really ready, for that, but I wanted to find a way to bring hip hop and the culture that I was, so much a part of and in love with, into Harvard, so to speak. So I was able to create a radio show on the station, which broadcast throughout the Boston area, had a big signal. And that really gave me the connection to the community. People who were listening were all over the Boston area. People that loved hip hop, looking for, a way to hear new music, find out information. And so through that radio show, I created The Source as a newsletter, a single yellow front and back Xerox sheet that I mailed out to 1,000 hip hop fans in the Boston area that I had built a mailing list of some of the listeners to my radio show. I'd always been, somebody that was trying to hustle and find ways to make money when I was younger, growing up, different things, different little businesses and things like that. And so I was looking, for something to apply that to. And then, this was the music and the culture that was, so important and so much a part of my life, was my life, at that time. So to combine those two things was really great for me. And, I just put all my focus into trying to create initially what I would call the Rolling Stone of the hip hop generation. That was sort of the first model. And then later, as The Source grew and I began to think of it as a brand and to diversify it, I would say I'm building the Time Warner of the hip hop generation. And
how did you know, as you were in the process of creating that, how did you know that, people wanted more? Like, how did you recognize that?
I think, really just being in touch with the people and the community, being out, going out to the concerts and going out to, just going out to the, to the hood and seeing what was going on out there. And like I said, the listeners calling into the radio show and talking to them and hearing what they were interested in. And then as the magazine started, feedback from people that would write letters to us, and The Source spread like really fast. First several years of distribution was all through record stores, but it really got us out to the people, and people responded to the content, and they would either write to us or they would tell the owner of the record store. We were in probably 30, 40 countries around the world. The Source really helped to bring hip hop to the international community. Everybody just loved hip hop and really believed in what we were doing and took it really seriously. Well, yeah, the Source Awards was a huge thing for hip hop. When we first created it, I started it really in '91, but initially, there was nobody recognizing hip hop, and I really wanted to create a forum where first we could all come together as a community. So I was able to get the buy-in and the support of the Suge Knights, of the, Jay Princes, the Master P's, the Russell Simmonses, the P. Diddy's, Puff, etc., to really, support this whole idea of the Source Awards. So there was a ton of excitement around it in the beginning. And, it went on to become a fixture where it was like the Super Bowl of hip hop. It was the one thing that everybody in hip hop looked forward to every year. And then, we expanded it from just an award show into an awards weekend some years later down in Miami. And, we had tens of thousands of people coming down to Miami for a weekend with all kinds of other activities. And again, just bringing the hip hop community together to celebrate, our culture and the incredible achievements and the incredible people and creativity and brilliance that goes into the hip hop culture. Yeah, that's the Source Award. Still stands today.
Was there ever a moment where you're like, you know what, this magazine isn't working out, I'm ready to move on?
So, I mean, there were definitely mistakes that I made along the way that I have learned from and, mostly recognized, after the fact. I did a lot of things well and accomplished a lot, but also made a lot of big mistakes. So, for me, it's been about learning from those, understanding, what caused those. And, I started the Source when I was 19. When you have a lot of success at a young age and things are rolling, I think sometimes, you can think everything is going to work, every idea you have.
Looking at, with you being a visionary, what would be your advice to, someone right now that's listening to this podcast that is trying to get more of that media exposure now with the new current times? What advice would you give them to try to gain more exposure?
I think, we're at a really exciting time of a lot of opportunity because the digital media world, as huge as it is, and as many big players as there are, it's also a world that's constantly changing. From a business standpoint, the future of how media companies are going to make money and be structured is still something that's being, reinvented and revisualized. And I think, even the biggest companies don't necessarily know for sure where things are going to be 5 or 10 years down the road. And, you really can create something. You can go in your basement tonight and work up some plan or some business, and it could take off, and it could be competing with Facebook in 2-3 years down the line. I think it's a time where creativity and innovation can flourish, and that people should pursue those passions if they have them. And, I think you have an opportunity to really, really succeed. That's, when, school's out. I mean, time to get things cracking, time to make things happen.
Yo, what you think? I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to know what you learned. So if you wouldn't mind, would you take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast on your phone right now? Upload to your Instagram stories, tag me at Shawn Anthony _, and then let me know in that Instagram story what is one thing that you learned. I love hearing from you, my listeners, thought leaders, former or current students all around the world. Let me know, and while you're doing this, go inside the podcast app, subscribe, leave a 5-star review and a 5-star rating. Again, this helps us reach more people. And if you want to be a part of this mission, helping us change the world one person at a time, it makes a massive difference by you leaving a review. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week. And remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it.